In the Balkan region of southeastern Europe exists a country that can be controversial to talk about simply by mentioning it by name. This small, landlocked country has a population of about 2 million, its capital city is Skopje, and has been a candidate for EU membership since 2005. However, the country is most well known for its incredibly long name, the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia. So have you ever wondered why this country has such a long name, and why it's never shortened to simply Macedonia in any kind of official context? Well, constitutionally, the country's name is simply the Republic of Macedonia. However, due to a dispute with Greece, was admitted to the UN in 1993 under the provisional name of the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia, and a quarter of a century later, the dispute over the name continues. So why is there a dispute with Greece? What's their problem with the name? Well, Greece has a region called Macedonia, which comprises the northern part of Greece and the entirety of the border with their northern neighbour. Greece claims that the name of the country, which became independent in 1991, implies territorial aspirations over the Greek region of the same name, and that the country is appropriating their history. So to fully understand the situation, we need to look at where the name Macedonia comes from. And for this, we need to go back to the ancient times and the Kingdom of Macedonia, or Macedon. Geographically, the ancient kingdom corresponds roughly to the modern-day Greek region of Macedonia. The ancient Macedonians were a Greek tribe that would ultimately unite all of the Greek city-states through conquer and diplomacy, forming the League of Corinth under Philip II and later succeeded by Alexander the Great, who would go on to conquer most of the ancient world, spreading the Greek language and culture. Fast forward to the Roman conquest of Greece. After the last king of Macedon was defeated, the Romans established a province called Macedonia, which encompassed much more land than the Kingdom of Macedonia ever did. The Roman Empire, and the successor of the Byzantine Empire, ruled the entire region for centuries. In the late 6th century AD, Slavic peoples settled the Balkans, dramatically changing the demographics of the region. This migration of the Slavs saw the rise of several kingdoms and principalities that fought for control of the region against the Byzantine Empire. The next few centuries saw control of the Balkans shift between Byzantium, Serbia and Bulgaria, as well as some other short-lived nations. The entirety of the Balkans was eventually conquered by the Ottoman Empire in the late 14th century. In the 19th century, Greece and later Serbia, Bulgaria, Romania and Montenegro all gained their independence from the Ottoman Empire, but the Ottomans still had control of large parts of the region. Just a few decades later though, in the Balkan Wars, the newly formed alliance known as the Balkan League, consisting of Greece, Bulgaria, Serbia and Montenegro, declared war on the Ottomans and took control of all of their European-controlled land. However, Bulgaria, not being satisfied with their share of the spoils of the war, invaded their former allies and neighbours, Greece and Serbia. Both attacks were resisted and both countries counterattacked. The Romanians and the Ottomans also joined in on the war, and Bulgaria found itself under attack by all four of its neighbours simultaneously. Bulgaria ended up losing land to all of these neighbours in the following peace treaties. The cause of the initial invasions by Bulgaria was that in the Balkan League agreement, Bulgaria was promised most of Macedonia. However, before the end of the war, Serbia and Greece made plans to hold on to the lands that their forces had occupied. Fast forward to 1918 and the end of World War I and the establishment of the Kingdom of Yugoslavia. The southern region, which would later become the Republic of Macedonia, was at the time known as the Vardar Banovina, named after the Vardar River. After being occupied by the Axis powers in World War II, Yugoslavia was re-established, this time as a socialist federation made up of 6 constituent countries, one of which was named the People's Republic of Macedonia, and later the Socialist Republic of Macedonia. During the breakup of Yugoslavia, the Republic of Macedonia declared itself an independent country in 1991 and became the only country to break away from Yugoslavia peacefully, avoiding the Yugoslav wars and the other constituent countries. So this marks the beginning of the dispute with Greece, with their declaration of independence. Now at the time, it wasn't just the name that Greece took issue with, but also the newly independent country's flag, which featured the Virginia sun, which was a symbol used by the Argead dynasty of Macedon and found in ancient Greek artifacts. The Greek parliament passed a resolution declaring the Virginia sun an official national symbol and sought to trademark the symbol as well. In 1993, the Republic of Macedonia joined the United Nations but was designated the temporary term the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia due to Greek objections. The new member's flag was not raised at the UN headquarters. In 1994, Greece imposed sanctions upon their northern neighbour, which was economically crippling for them. In 1995, the two sought to normalise negotiations despite their differences in an interim accord under UN mediation, in which neither country was specifically mentioned by name. The Republic of Macedonia agreed to remove the Virginia sun from their flag and made some changes to their constitution which Greece considered to be irredentist in nature. In return, Greece agreed not to hinder them from joining any international organisations as long as they used the UN-designated term the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia. Over the next 2 decades, the countries had negotiations with a UN mediator to try and solve the naming dispute. Through various governments throughout the various years, there have been dozens of solutions proposed, but the two sides have still yet to come to an agreement. In the beginning, Greece was completely unwilling to accept any name that featured the word Macedonia, suggesting names such as the Vardar Republic or the Republic of Skopje, however have since come around to a more reasonable position that a compound name featuring Macedonia with a geographical or historical qualifier would be acceptable. In 2008, a NATO invitation to the Republic of Macedonia was vetoed by Greece due to the ongoing dispute. In response to this, Macedonia took legal action against Greece for violating their interim accord agreement of 1995. The International Court of Justice issued a judgment stating that Greece did indeed violate the agreement. Macedonia has also been a candidate for EU membership since 2005, but accession talks have still yet to begin. In 2011, the situation was exacerbated when the Republic of Macedonia erected a 22-metre tall statue of Alexander the Great in their capital city Skopje. The EU Enlargement Commissioner called the statue a provocation. And this was just one of many similar actions around the Republic's capital city to try and bolster their claim to the name Macedonia, including the renaming of their main airport, Alexander the Great Airport, renaming the main highway to Greece as Alexander of Macedon, renaming the city's largest stadium, Philip II Arena, and one of Skopje's main squares was renamed Pella Square, after the capital city of the Kingdom of Macedon, despite the fact that Pella was located in what is now modern-day Greece, as was the vast majority of the ancient kingdom. These actions, which have come to be referred to as antiquization, were met with almost universal disapproval by the international community and many within the country itself. This was all part of a project called Skopje 2014 by the ruling government at the time and sometimes controversial Prime Minister Nikola Gruevski. Diplomatic relations between the two countries was at an all-time low. Despite this though, talks to solve the dispute did continue, although reached extreme levels of pettiness when the two parties came very close to an agreement but ultimately failed due to simple word order. The most recent round of negotiations took place in January 2018, with both sides seeming optimistic that the dispute can be solved this year. Now at this point, you might be thinking to yourself, isn't this all very petty? It's just a name after all. Well, on the one hand, yes, absolutely. Two nations arguing about the name of a country for a quarter of a century is very petty and should have been solved many, many years ago. On the other hand, there are actually a lot of underlying serious issues as well. So let's try to understand why it's so important for Macedonia to keep their name and why Greece is so adamant that they change it. The Republic of Macedonia is made up of about 65% of people who identify as Macedonian. These people are ethnically Slavic, primarily of Bulgarian and Serbian descent. The Macedonian identity is a fairly modern one, having emerged within the last century or so, initially seeking autonomy for Macedonia within the Ottoman Empire. In 1893, the Internal Macedonian Revolutionary Organisation was founded to fight for the Macedonian cause. The name Macedonia was chosen for the constituent country of Yugoslavia as a way of distancing the population from their neighbour Bulgaria, who are both ethnically and linguistically very similar. This may also have been a tactic by Tito to lay future claims upon Greek Macedonia and access the Mediterranean Sea, although this never came to fruition. Today, the Macedonians of the former Yugoslav Republic are overwhelmingly against any change to the country's name, even if a name change would help their entry into the EU and NATO. From the Macedonian perspective, it could be argued that they have every right to use the name Macedonia, given that the country is entirely within the geographical region known as Macedonia. Even though the modern day country has no connection to the ancient Kingdom of Macedonia, the wider geographical region has been known as Macedonia since the Roman times. Also, Greece claiming that the country's name implies territorial ambitions upon its region of the same name is an over-exaggeration. In the past, the idea of a united Macedonia was a very real thing, but today such an idea is something that only exists in the minds of a minor group of ultra-nationalists. And anyway, Greece is a member of NATO. An invasion by their northern neighbour is not something Greece has to worry about. All that being said, the country only inhabits the northern part of the region of Macedonia, so names like Upper Macedonia or Northern Macedonia are arguably more accurate names, and it's only a minor change. Or a name like New Macedonia, which again is accurate since the country has only been independent since 1991 and also distinguishes it from the ancient Macedonia. Now, from the Greek perspective, it certainly is understandable that they take issue with the name, and especially the country's original flag and the 22-metre tall statue of Alexander the Great, and the airport, and the highway, and the public square, and the stadium, etc, etc. Still, it is a little unreasonable to claim that Greece is the only country that has the right to use the name Macedonia. The majority of Macedonian Greeks, however, are against the former Yugoslav Republic using the name Macedonia in any context. Some kind of composite name which makes a clear distinction from the Greek region of Macedonia seems like a reasonable compromise to many, including the current government of Greece. Now, of the two parties, the Republic of Macedonia is the one that stands to benefit from resolving the naming dispute, so a good case could be made that the onus is on them to change their name, as it will allow them to join the European Union and NATO. Of course, a counter-argument could be made that Greece is the one blocking them from these organisations and therefore should be the one to back down. Over 130 countries have recognised the Republic of Macedonia by its constitutional name. A name is a term used for identification, and for the Republic of Macedonia, that name has hindered their development as a nation since independence. However, many Macedonians consider the country's name an incredibly important part of their national identity and are completely against changing the name, even if this means sacrificing the country's economic and political future. The naming dispute between these two countries is surely one of the most bizarre international disputes of all time that has already gone on for far too long. The dispute may seem petty on the surface, but there is a lot of seriousness behind it. The two nations have stated their optimism and eagerness to solve the dispute, but this certainly isn't the first time we've heard that. For the sake of the country whose name I've already said far too many times, and for the region of the Balkans as a whole, let's hope this dispute can once and for all be put to rest and resolved, and that a disagreement over a country's name doesn't continue for another quarter century. Thanks for watching.